Welcome to ScratchStart. In this session, we are going to see how we can fetch the API from a different source and use it in a JavaScript. As we are purely focusing on front end, it is an important feature how we should fetch the API. We should call the API to the front end, because backend will be written in different languages or in different setups. But it should be in the call to the front end to make it operate, because front end is what we people see on screen. So I have wrote the HTML CSS structures. So let's create variables using identifiers. First, I'm adding a variable called btn. I'm selecting it by document, get element by id, and the id is load button. And we have next element as list, selected by document, get element by id, and the id is list. Then loading, document, get element by id, and the id is loading. I am creating these elements because button is for clicking the button, because you can see here there is a button, and loading too, and the list too, because I will say what the list is going to contain. Next, create a button variable and give an add event listener, and the event is click, and writing it as a function. Say that function, I am giving initial states. Select the loading variable and change the text content into loading and 3 dots. And next, select the list element and change the inner HTML and make it empty. That's all. Now the next step is we have to call the API from the backend. So for that, I'm using a JavaScript method called fetch. This fetch will call the call the backend. It is like a request sending. This is the API link. Give it in quotes. So fetch, how the fetch operates is it will it is like a request. If you are not familiar, the front end is the user and the back end is the working end. Back end will be the working all the crucial operations, like handling the database, handling the data, and the storage and segregation, and all the calculations, everything. Front end will focus mainly on the user experiences, like what you see and what you will experience. So as a user, you are requesting the backend to bring that API, use that API. That is what happening here. And then I am using a method called then. What then does this then does is, this is like a function, like a promise, like the promise that this function will occur when all the criterias or all the conditions are satisfied. Function, and give it a parameter response, and give it a return to the response JSON value. What this means is, when the fetch is called, that means when the API is called, the function with the parameter response will come, and this whole database, the API, will get converted into readable JSON, because we are using that kind of data here. There will be different types of APIs too. It can have multiple functions like calculations and databases. It can have different multiple purposes. What we are using here is just text based backend. So data that means data. So that's why I'm using JSON. And this block, this then block is for fetching the data and displaying it. Fetching the data, that's all. Now we have to display that data. So now using another then function, then method, and giving it a function with a parameter data. Inside that I'm selecting a loading variable and I change the text content to empty string, and select the data variable. For each of the data, the following function should appear with the parameter user. So inside that we are creating a new variable called list. That means this list element will be inherited to this list variable. That's all. This is the same method we have seen in the previous problems too. Create the element, list element, li, and this list element should contain the text, content user.name. That means the API is name variable, and then this list the append child method, using append child method, connect this li element, list element, to the list variable. So that is all. Now the whole function is completed. Now what we have to do is this whole block is written when all the conditions are true and everything is alright. But what we should also consider another situation where an error occurs. The internet can be down, or the API will have some malicious data, or there can be some issues in the front end or in back end. So in that conditions, I'm using another key JavaScript method called catch. This catch function will execute only when the promise is rejected. That means all these promises are rejected. When all these promises are rejected, the catch will operate. I'm writing a function for this catch operation as select the loading variable and change it to text content to error loading data, and that's all. If an error occurs, this whole block, this catch block will appear. That's all. So now we'll go to the browser, reload. If I click load users, the API will appear. Let's see. I am clicking this API link. See, this is the API. This is the data we have in that API. See, this is all the data. Now when I click load users, loading, so you can see there is an error in loading the data, because there is some error. We might have done some mistake. We should check the here code. What is here is working is the catch is working here. That's all. So we have done some kind of error, like a mistake in this section, this promise section. Then we should check that. How we can check that from then response. I have fixed the error now. There are no errors, just a small syntax error. That's all. I have changed the username. That is the spelling, just a normal spelling mistake, typo errors. So Now we can go to the browser and reload it. When I click the load users, loading, and all the things are appearing. What here appearing is that we called here is name, user's name. That's all. You can go to the API. You can see all the user name. Only this name ID will appear. That's all. Name will appear here. See, Clementine Bach. See, Clementine Bach. So only the name parameters are appearing. That's all. So that is how you fetch the API from the backend and use it in the front end. This is a very important method. We use most of the applications use this method. It can also be written using async methods too, but I am not covering in this session now, because I thought of focusing only on very basics, normal basics, and I will cover async functions too. It is also an important method. So I will cover it in upcoming sessions, or in a different series, or working in different projects. So by that method we can easily understand the operation straightly, because reading theory and all, it can be read, you can read it from any other sources, but I focus mainly on learning with the projects, so I'm not going to cover the theory part of the keywords. So yeah, that is it for today. Consider like, subscribe, and sharing if you appreciate my work, and I will meet you guys in the next session. Thank you. Have a nice day.